Hello everybody, it's good to see you all again. Today's recipe is a pulled pork, only it's a vegan pulled pork. We're going to use jackfruit instead of pork. Honestly, you could give this to your carnivore friends and they would not know they were eating a vegan meal. It's that good and that amazing. Jackfruit is a good big vegetable or fruit or whatever you want to call it, that when we use it for as a meat substitute, we use an unripe jackfruit. Typically it comes in cans like this. You can buy it like the whole fruit and do it yourself, but yeah, too much work. So this is what you're looking for, because when you go into the grocery store, you'll see it tinned like this. This is young green jackfruit in brine. It also comes ripe and packed in a sugar syrup, which is great for desserts, but not for pulled pork. So, our ingredients: the jackfruit, I should say, barbecue sauce, ahi, which is a South American condiment that is used, I use it in a lot of my cooking. I spice everything up with it. Then we have some chili powder, and we have some cumin. Those are the ingredients for the pulled pork, if you want to call it that. And then for our coleslaw, we've got cabbage, we've got a carrot, mayonnaise, mustard, some vinegar, a little bit of sugar, and we're ready to go. So this is what your jackfruit looks like when it comes out of the can. I've drained it, and you can see that if you shred it like this, it looks very much like a shredded meat kind of a thing. So typically what I do is take it and shred it in my fingers like this. The texture is surprisingly meat-like. And I'm going to shred it all up like this. And then I chop up the pieces here. So slice that off there, slice that off there, and get these out. I like to chop this up just a bit, just so that you don't get these massive big chunks in your mouth. That's all, really. A little more. So this feels kind of cool, actually. This is, first time I ever came across this as a meat substitute, I was amazed at just how very good it is. Okay, we've got all that ready to go, and then we're just going to give this up a little bit of a chop. Now, I'm going to put it back in the bowl, and that's when I'm going to season it. So, what did I do with the cloth? There it is. So we're going to put chili powder, cumin, and a couple tablespoons of ahi in there to make it all nice and flavorful, because we want to impart the flavors of a pulled pork into this. So, the nice thing about this, I mean, aside from the fact that it's a vegan meal, plant-based, which is good for a multitude of reasons, is that it's also really inexpensive. So, budget-friendly. So then we've got it all nicely spiced up. We're going to put it on a baking sheet. Now, this isn't really necessary, but what I find this does is, first of all, it dries it out a little bit more. So again, replicating that meat texture. And I also like the fact that it, when you put it in the oven for a few minutes, it starts the browning and it kind of caramelizes it. So it gives it another layer of flavor, another little more depth of flavor. And just visually looks better. So, into the oven. We'll let that sit there. And while that's doing it, we're going to make our coleslaw. Coleslaw is the classic topping for pulled pork. Now you can buy a bag of coleslaw from the grocery store. That's a very, very easy way to make a coleslaw, or you can make it from scratch. I like to make it from scratch because, for one thing, cabbage is cheap. It's really inexpensive. And I like cabbage. I use it for an awful lot of things. I eat it, I saute it, I stir fry it, I like it raw. So for me, a whole head of cabbage is not going to go to waste. So cut it in half, flat side down on the cutting. Knife safety skills, always you want to start with a flat surface so it doesn't move around, as opposed to this. And now you can cut the core out if you like. Put that in compost, and then you can start slicing away. Now, I like a fairly fine coleslaw. If you like it a little coarser, that's fine too. If you have a mandolin, that's a really great way to slice cabbage safely and thin and quickly too, I might add. So we're just going to keep slicing this, keeping our fingers curled back so that they're out of the way like a lobster claw. I sometimes pop it over on its side when it starts to get too skinny to hang on to. Okay, we're just going to do half the cabbage today. I'm going to save this for another use, so we're going to set it over there. Now, you can chop this up finer if you like this. Make it a little smaller, a little easier to navigate it into your mouth. We're going to do that. So it's going to go into the big bowl. Red cabbage is really great too if you've got that. It makes it look pretty. But today we've just got green cabbage, so the green cabbage is going in there. Now, next thing you want to put in there is some grated carrot. I very rarely peel my carrots unless they're really yucky looking. And just as a matter of preference, I prefer to buy organic carrots only because they just taste so much better. So, great whole carrot. That goes in as well. Coleslaw, you can pretty much, you know, there's no real measurements to it. It's one of those things, if you like a lot of cabbage, put in a lot of cabbage. If you don't, then don't. If you like a lot of carrot, put in a lot of carrot. So that's how much we're going to put in today. If you've never made it before, following a recipe to start with is always a good idea. Okay. Now, next thing we're going to make is our dressing. So this is the coleslaw, basically all ready to go. Now, you can certainly add other things to it. Sunflower seeds are a really good addition to this. Pumpkin seeds are really nice, but right now we're just sticking to the basics. And our dressing calls for mayonnaise. There are lots of oil and vinegar based dressings on the market, or not on the market, I said recipe wise. A little bit of mayonnaise goes in there, a little bit of vinegar, a little bit of sugar, and a wee little bit of mustard. This is a really classic traditional coleslaw dressing. There are so many ways you can change this up. I also, because you've got the ahi, I like to throw a little bit of this in here too, but that's just my personal preference. And mix it all up. Yum. Okay, now we're just going to give it a little taste. Sometimes I'll do this so that I don't dirty my spoon. Needs a little more sugar, in my opinion. You can adjust it to suit your own palate. I tend to like a sweeter dressing, so that's what I've done. Let's see if that's any better. It is. Okay, so dressing goes on to the coleslaw. Mix it all up. Let it sit for a little bit. There you go. Yummy, yummy coleslaw. So you can imagine how much prettier that would be if it had purple cabbage in it. That would be a lovely addition to it. Okay, so now we're gonna check our pulled pork, if you will. Should be coming along nicely. Oh yeah, see it's starting to brown. How does that look, eh? I'm gonna pop it back in for another minute. Just like that. While I get my saucepan ready, because you want to serve this hot. And make sure that it's, you know, nice and hot on your bun. So here's the bun. We're gonna cut it in half just to get it ready. If you like, feel free to toast the bun. That's always a nice thing to do. And now barbecue sauce. This is the one I happen to use. I like Sweet Baby Ray's. Really, it's up to you. There's so many different ones on the market. They're fairly high in sugar. So if you wanted to make your own, you could certainly do that. But this is, you know, Kraft usually goes on sale. It's pretty inexpensive. It's a decent one. Okay. So then we take our pulled pork, if you will, and we're going to put it into the saucepan. Now, if you were serving this right away, let's see, here's a hot mess for you. You could totally just put the barbecue sauce on it and serve it. But if you're going to make it ahead of time, then you'll need to reheat it. So, sauce amount depends entirely on how saucy you want this. Some people like it really, really, really saucy and sloppy and gooey. Others, not so much. And of course, my bottle's almost empty. So we're gonna stand it upside down for a little bit. Get some of that running down to the bottom of the bottle. We're gonna mix this up. Clearly, it needs more sauce. So, yeah, way more sauce. Okay. I'm gonna put a little bit of water in here. That'll help get it out. Give it a good shake. My mama taught me this trick. It's a good way to clean out your bottles too. Okay, there. Much better. Much better. Okay, now we mix this all up. It's still nice and hot, so you could absolutely serve it at this temperature without any issues at all. So to serve it, we're gonna put it on our bun like this. And we're going to top it with some coleslaw, like this. And there you have a beautiful vegan pulled pork sandwich. So if for whatever reason you don't eat pork, this is a great alternative. If you don't eat meat, it's an even better alternative. It's everything that you want in a pulled pork sandwich. It's gooey, it's crunchy, it's sweet, it's savory, it's smoky. Good, wonderful sandwich. So Enjoy that, and we'll see you soon. Bye.